Okay, so full disclosure, this is a video that's very critical of AtGames. So with that, I have to make it clear that I am fully against the harassment of any smaller scale employees who are just working the social medias there. You know, just do not harass those guys, alright? I do think it's important to make your voice be heard. But the guys running these social media accounts for AtGames and whatnot and that type of stuff, they're just doing their job, alright? Don't stalk them. Don't do any of that shit, alright? I mean, they have it hard enough as is. They're already working for AtGames. But yeah, I wanted to say that before we began. Anyways, please enjoy. Let's speak of a hypothetical and say that your favorite series is Kirby. You love the games, but you also love the world and its characters, Kirby themselves being the main draw, but you'll also see the value in their cast of side characters, with DDD, Meta Knight, and Bandana D being characters you have attachments to, and you feel that they add something to the series' world. But then HAL Laboratory, or Nintendo, run into legal issues with the royalty rights being assigned to a shitty plug-and-play company in which a decision is made to replace the cast with dollar store equivalents. Instead of King DDD, it's King Kirby. Instead of Meta Knight, it's Kirby Knight. Instead of Bandana D, it's Bandana Kirby. Yeah, wouldn't that suck? Wouldn't that just be terrible? Let's cut to the chase. Back in September of 2019, there was a legal case between Bandai Namco and AtGames involving the royalty rights of Miss Pac-Man. Namco holds the associate rights and ownership of Miss Pac-Man, but the royalty rights are owned by AtGames. Yeah, it's a bit convoluted, but needless to say, there's a bit of a limitation in how Namco can use Miss Pac-Man and, well, any of the GC characters in general. Fellow passionate member of the Pac-Man community, MZ Paul, researched the subject and made a document going over what he knows. I'll have a link to it in the description. I'd really recommend giving it a read either before or after watching this video, but basically this is why she hasn't appeared in any recent games, and this is also why they had to swap out her sprites in the Arcade Archives version of Pac-Land with sprites resembling Pac-Mom, basically tampering with what should be an archive of the original game, making the name Arcade Archives a lie. This extends into Museum Plus and Repack, which, by the way, uses the Miss Pac-Man motifs in the majority of its OST. Really makes you wonder why not just pay the royalty fees at that point, or better yet, why not just outright buy her back? Maybe Namco just doesn't want to fuck with AtGames and give them money. AtGames is quite a scum-fuck company as is, so it only makes... Oh, wait a minute! They're still working with them. Of course they are! Gotta have that kick in the pants! They're such a notoriously shit company, even fucking Sega knew to cut ties. That says a lot! On that note, what is it about AtGames that makes them so terrible? It's a bit of a rabbit hole, but I'll try to keep it simple. The emulation on their products is complete dog water when it comes to sound and performance. And of course, they also partake in the practice of false marketing. And if you're ever to voice a complaint about a product of theirs that you spent your hard-earned money on that's not working, well, they do the most reasonable thing a company can do. They block your ass. Good PR management, guys. People will certainly buy your shit when you do this. Hell, the people who work with the company absolutely hate it. with upper management being described as incompetent, having a work environment that looks and smells like shit, being bad with assigning jobs, and just overall treating their employees like shit. I genuinely feel sorry for anybody that works there. Honestly, that alone is worse than what's going on with Miss Pac-Man. But it further adds on to my point that their foothold in this situation is egregious. The fact that Bamco is still willing to work with these certified shit merchants and yet still not pay royalties to use Miss Pac in any current Pac-Man title is quite telling of a few things. Overall, it's just imbecilian. Yes, this shit is so bad, I'm making up new words to describe it. The utilization of Miss Pac-Man isn't the only thing that's limited, however. Apparently, these extend to anything from the GCC games. Mechanics like moving fruit or scrolling mazes, essentially playing a part in limiting and cutting out potential ways they can shake up the maze formula, which is bad. But at the same time, I kinda have to put a citation regarding this. Yes, they did remove a lot of the Miss Pac-Man sound effects in Repack, but the OST still uses Miss Pac-Man motifs, and then you have Championship Edition 2, where on its higher difficulties, fruit will move. So this mandate seems a bit flimsy when you notice certain things that contradict it, but at the same time, it does seem to have an effect when you look at Repack's take on the Pac family. And with the mention of the Pac family, what about Pac-Mom? This horrible character design is a result of this situation. Though to be fair, Miss Pac XPs were made before Pac-Mom, with characters like Cylindria and Pac-Marie. However, they aren't really relevant in this particular discussion, especially Pac-Marie, being that she was made as a part of the Pac Store series. On a side note, I'd like to cover the Pac Store in a video at some point. I think it would be interesting to talk about. Also, on another side note, when I was looking up footage of Pac-Marie from the Pac Store, I saw just the worst thing, like, literally the worst thing. I'm not gonna say what it was, or even show what it was. I'm just gonna leave it at, it was pretty fucking bad. Like, yeah, thanks internet. But I will say that this is how I felt when I saw it. But yeah, Pac-Mom. Oh, Pac-Mom. Now, she didn't look too bad when they retrofitted her into Pac-in-Time and Pac-Land, but her 3D look has to be the worst character design to ever grace the series. Yes, worse than anything from Ghostly Adventures. Worse than anything from World 3. The details on her eyes, the lack of a nose, and her overall proportions make for some straight out of Uncanny Valley bullshit. But the worst part about her is her fucking name! I mean, Pac-Mom? Really? His wife's name is Pac-Mom! Do you know what implications this carries? Or how someone could misconstrue this? Though of course, there is no blood relation, she is supposed to be his wife, but it's odd that Mom is literally her name! Like it's some fairly odd parent shit where Timmy's parents are literally called Mom and Dad. At this point, wouldn't Pac-Man be Pac-Dad? It's just fucking stupid! Furthermore, this whole thing just sucks because Miss Pac-Man is an important benchmark in gaming, pushing for the prominence of female protagonists in video games and being one of the most beloved. Unfortunately, being held down by a shit merchant company has stifled that, leaving this classic game unable to be ported to modern systems and compilations, leaving it stuck on these shitty bootleg plug-and-piss consoles. As such, a good chunk of the coming generation might not get to experience it unless they partake in emulation or happen to be near an arcade cabinet of it. But with the former, not enough people are willing to do that. And with the latter, well, the chances are pretty selective. Even more so, this stifles the potential of the character, and what new and interesting things they could do with her. Now, my love and appreciation of the character goes all the way back to the Miss Pac-Man arcade game. It was one of the first games of this series that I played. I adored her because of that game. However, I wouldn't touch Maze Madness until either late 2019 or early 2020. But man, this game really shot her up into being one of my favorites, and it showed me the potential she has. Granted, the gameplay style could be done again but with Pac-Man, but Maze Madness was her game. Its atmosphere, its tone, its style, it was her adventure. Playing as her and overcoming great odds was endearing in the same way it was for Pac-Man in the World Trilogy, but it was her flavor of that. It's a showing of her potential, and it's a shame that potential couldn't be explored more. Of course, people would bring up remaking Maze Madness, and I'm gonna be real here. My tolerance for remaking games without getting anything new kinda goes up to World 2. But I can see the positive in remaking Maze Madness, being that it would make it more accessible, and could set the groundwork for another attempt at a Maze Madness 2. Not to mention, they could add and improve things to make the experience more fantastical, as was the case with Pac-Man World Repack. But of course... yep, you know. With everything said here, this situation does suck. Though one may ask, does the lack of any Miss Pac-Man really ruin the series? Not really. Hell, they can still make a cast of fun and great supporting characters, but that doesn't really negate the point I'm making with this video about how much this blows. Bamco themselves have been pretty silent on the matter, basically ghosting anyone that brings it up to them, which is pretty bad, and it's an even bigger kick in the crotch when it's shown that they're still working with them. However, there is a bit of a silver lining here. To my knowledge, it seems as if AtGames haven't been doing so well in terms of sales on their products. Now, I know hoping for a company to go out of business may seem bad when there are jobs involved that could be lost, but considering the mistreatment of those who work there, as well as their overall scummy business practices, well, yeah, this fortress held together by glue and scotch tape can crumble for all I care. So, there is hope, but hoping is the best thing we can do. That, and simply just not buying the crap they sell. Anyways, I said all I needed to. Next time we will be doing a countdown. The real top 10 Pac-Man games. Yeah. But for now, I gotta pack it up. And until then, I will see you all tomorrow. I'm still not used to saying that. Fellow passionate member of the Pac-Man community, MP Saul. I fucked his name up. MP Saul. MP Saul.